let you walk away. No.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been quite some time since I've done a video, which I feel like that should be my tagline because I feel like I say that every single time I make a video. But for this particular video, I did want to allow enough time to go by so I can actually have all the information before I really said anything. And typically, if I'm being honest, I don't really like to talk negatively about things. So most of the time, if there is something negative, I'm just not going to say it. But I did want to give an update in regards to the system that we've been using for our homeschooling life for the younger two, and just kind of like an update and a, so to speak, review, I guess you can say, and my personal thoughts about why we are deciding to change yet again. So I don't know if you've noticed, some of you may if you follow me on some of my other socials, but my family and I last school year, we decided to enroll two of our youngest into K-12. K-12 was going to be, at that time, it was a better option for us. I went back to work full time, which I do plan on doing a video about how I'm able to homeschool and work full time. So keep your eye out for that. But at that time, we decided to put our youngest two into K-12 as opposed to traditional homeschooling, just to make sure that they were getting 100% of everything that they needed. So bear with me, it's going to be a little bit of an explanation, not necessarily a long video, but it is going to be fully in depth. Sorry if my kids are, and they're having a grand old time. So, all right. So anyways, so with K-12, like I said, we decided to go into this program last year. So last year would have been for a 4th and for a 6th grader. Italy and Baltimore are now in the 5th and 7th grade. So it's been some, huge adjustments with that alone, just going up new grade levels. So last year we decided to, again, enroll in K-12. And when we first enrolled, we saw that there were several different options for, schools and things that they offered within the K-12 program. So we decided to go with the first one, which was LSOA. And I believe it stands for Lone Star Online Academy. At the time when we signed up for it, we were super, super excited because we're getting all of these great school supplies. We're getting fun, kits for science experiments, all these cool things that we didn't have to go buy, which we typically would if we were going to do something in homeschool. So that did help. We were getting great books, other resources that maybe, would typically cost if we homeschooled, that the school provided for free. So it was really cool in the beginning. During LSOA, it started off I won't say it started off. It felt like a homeschool co-op. Yes, there were deadlines for assignments. There were tests and things like that involved. However, it felt more like we were hands-on. It also felt like we were included. And if there was something that was missing, we could easily go back and figure out how to do something. I'm pretty sure I've said this many times in my other videos, I'm horrible at math. So when it comes to helping the kids with math, if there was something that I didn't understand, yes, y'all, I did not understand some of the things that they were talking about, I was able to go back in their curriculum and work through it with them, and they were able to grasp it and understand. Sometimes it's not necessarily about you needing to know what to do, but how to explain it. So I was able to explain it in a way that we both were able to understand it and that they were able to pick it up by utilizing their curriculum. So it felt like we still had control of their day-to-day life. They did have sessions that they would have to check in with, but if they missed the session, they could still just go back and watch the recording. No big deal. They still had, an extended amount of time frame where you could turn in the work. It wasn't necessarily it has to be due right here or you get an automatic 0, which it took me a while to figure that out. So we were like always racing, trying to figure out like, okay, how are we going to get all of this stuff done? How are we going to do all of this by a certain amount of time? So we ended the school year, both of the kids, A/B honor roll. They did such a great job. They scored high in, testing. There were some areas of improvement in certain subjects, but they still did really well overall. So long story short, for that, we decided, okay, we're going to re-enroll, but this time we're going to pick something with a more challenging curriculum, because they did express that they felt like some of the stuff was just a little bit too easy, or it was things that we had already covered in some of our own lessons, and they didn't really want to do that. So we're like, okay, let's find something that is a little bit more focused on high school, a little bit things that are a little bit more focused on, career placement and things like that. Schools that had like a pathway, I guess is what they call like a pathway to higher education. So after, kind of looking at reviews, and which I probably should have went more in depth, but I didn't. But just kind of looking at more reviews and what was offered, we decided to enroll them this year for 2023-2024 into the Texas Online Preparatory School, or TOPS. So immediately out the gate, there were differences. I won't say they were good or bad, they were just different. So they did take some adjusting on our end, as homeschooling parents, and then also as previous homeschoolers, to get used to. One was attendance. If they were not in their session at that particular time, like a traditional public school, then they were marked as absent, which not a problem. I'm here at the house. My husband at that time was home before he started working back in office. So it was very easy for them to be to class on time. So we never had an issue with that. It was more of taking time off, which I get is a luxury when you homeschool. You are free to do whatever you want, however you want, whenever you want. And that was something that is very important to us when it does come to learning, because we have certain things that we do during the year where we are going to need time off. Maybe not an extra several days, but it is nice to just kind of relax before we actually go on our trip and keep our feasts and things like that. So having to request time off, that was a little bit different, so to speak, because we just weren't used to that. So that was the first difference that I noticed. Another difference was when it comes to the coursework. There wasn't a lot of explanation. Like I said, I'm at home. I can hear what they're doing in their classes. Sometimes Baltimore would go into his room, but most of the time they would both be in the front room because their classes weren't always at the same time. So I could hear what was going on in their classroom. Teachers were super nice. Let me say this. I don't have a problem with the teachers. The teachers, I feel like they did their job. To what degree they were able to do them. I think it's also kind of become a trend in the aspect of this particular thing when it comes to curriculum, which this is my next issue, so to speak, of things that were different, was the curriculum. So typically, well, at least, last year or whenever we would traditionally homeschool, we would learn a subject. We had resources to go through it. If we got it wrong, if they got it wrong, we could go back and work on it together to figure out how, what step did they miss? What do we need to go back over? Even last year, it had that same thing. I would sit there next to them, watch them take their quiz. If they got it wrong at the end, it would give you a full breakdown. And I'm like, okay, so do you see, I can explain, okay, do you see where you missed this step? Do you see how this is this? Yes, it was easy to comprehend, go back, pass it. With TOPS, it is a little bit different because that option is not available. I've sat there numerous times, especially first semester when my son was struggling, not with the curriculum. most of the curriculum was easy. It was when it was a new subject, that is when he kind of got tripped up the most, because there wasn't a great way of explaining it. So we would go back through the curriculum and say, okay, well, how does this make sense? You know, what is it that you're learning? And we would find it. The curriculum itself just was not, it was well put together, but it was not fully put together, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. In my mind, it makes sense. Maybe because I saw it and I understand what it is. That's kind of like what it is. Like, they put everything together, nicely laid out. Like, it was packaged pretty, it was laid out pretty, but I don't feel like it went into enough detail. So for an example, one of the subjects in math that he was learning, or one of the topics, excuse me, in math that he was learning was about interest rates and things like that. Totally fine. So there was 3 different, there was like interest rate and profit, or something of that nature, where we would have to write down the formulas, and if you want to figure out what this is, you would follow the formula. So we wrote down all the formulas. He created a OneNote. I mean, he had everything. He did his due diligence. When it came time for the quiz, he kept getting them wrong. And I'm like, okay, what is it that you're missing? There has to be something. So going through, I'm helping him every step of the way. I'm like, okay, so let's follow what this says. Show me what you did. Show me your work. And he would do it. We would verify on the calculator. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is right. Way to go, son. Submit the quiz. It's wrong. Oh man, I'm getting like traumatized all over again. It was wrong, and it wouldn't explain how it was wrong. So little things like that really, it really just frustrated me as a parent, because I saw my son struggling. Not because he couldn't maintain the work, not because he couldn't do the work. It wasn't fully explained to him to where he could pick up on little things like, oh, well, in this case, instead of doing this, I would do this. Does that kind of make sense? So that part was really frustrating. You know, he's about to be 13, and hopefully he doesn't get mad at me for saying this, but he has never struggled with any subject really. But this was the first time where I could really see how heavy it weighed on him, that he was not picking it up, or like getting the hundreds right away, because it didn't really add up. So the curriculum is saying to do one thing, and when it's time to quiz, it's not what he was doing. So yeah, I don't know, so to speak about that. But overall, the curriculum was really my next issue. It was really my next issue with a difference that we had to get adjusted to when it came to doing K-12. So last but not least, another overall issue, difference that I don't know, do I really want to talk about that? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to talk about that. Okay, so another difference in thing, actually, you know what? It's not a difference. It really is an issue that I have, because we're also experiencing it in my daughter's school, which is also why she's coming back home, and she is like so ready to come back home, is the process in which they're taught. So when we would do traditional homeschooling, if they were not picking something up, we wouldn't move on. We would stay where we need to until it got picked up. Thankfully, my kids were able to pick up certain things, I won't say like in one try, but in a few tries, like they were able to pick things up fairly quickly, with a few exceptions here and there. But with this, it's like you get 3 times to meet with the teacher in class, to go over the material, and then you're being quizzed. And then it's going to show up on a unit test. And then, so it's not the pace that bothers me, so to speak. It's more of, do you understand what I'm saying? Now, they do have help labs, which, for Italy, they've been great with her. Because there are like certain things that trip her up when it does come to like science. So her help lab has been really great in that aspect of her checking in. But like with Baltimore, going to the help lab, it's the same thing. It's just repetitive. So I don't know if that was, just the way that the system works, that particular teacher that runs that help lab, or what. These are just our experiences. This is just what, my husband and I have picked up on, our children have picked up on, and they really were determining factors as to why we pulled him out at semester and why Italy will not be returning. So overall, if K-12 is your choice, I really, really hope that you have a great experience with it. We do know people that had phenomenal experiences with it. They've graduated through K-12. And we also know other people that did not have great experiences. So I do feel like it really is based off of a child and a family situation. But for us, at least the TOPS program, it was not a great fit for our family. So, and not just the differences aspect, it wasn't a great fit. So we have decided to discontinue our journey with K-12 officially at the end of this school year, where we will be back traditionally homeschooling all of our kids. So we will be, homeschooling high school, middle school, and 2 middle schoolers. Oh, Italy's going to be in the 6th grade. That's wild to me. So that is where we're going to be at next year. I just wanted to give y'all a quick update and little review type thing. Again, this is our personal experience. It has nothing to do with, anybody else. I'm not trying to bash K-12. I'm not trying to shame any of the teachers in any way, shape, or form. Again, it just wasn't a good fit for our family. So, thanks for watching. I hope this video was informative. Again, I am going to be making another video about how I am able to homeschool our children while working full time. So I know a lot of people, especially like in other groups, like on Facebook, it's always a question that a lot of people ask. So why not talk about it? Talk about how we do it. Even when we were traditionally homeschooling, there was a moment where I was working full time, and we were able to do it then too. So, all right, well, drop in the comments what you thought about this video, if it was helpful, if there's anything else that you want to know about K-12. I can either respond or make another video and answer some of your questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.